Soldering is very simple once you get the hang of it. The trick is to heat up the wires that you are trying to join until they are hot enough for the solder to flow around them, and then apply the solder directly to the wires. The biggest mistake which beginners make is to apply the solder to the tip of a soldering iron and then to try and dab it onto the wires. Sometimes it's also easier to pre-coat the individual wires with solder before you try and join them. This is called pre-tinning. When you buy a new soldering iron, some types require that the tip be tinned before use as well. In other words, that you apply some solder to the tip before you use the iron. And in some older types of iron, before you could do this, the tip had to be cleaned with a fine sandpaper. Soldering can also be tricky if the item to be soldered is large. That is, it has a large thermal mass. This tends to suck the heat away, which means that it doesn't get hot enough for the solder to flow around it. Sometimes other types of bond, for example screw terminals, might be worth considering under these circumstances. Some semiconductor devices are also sensitive to heat and will break if exposed to too much. The heat limits are often given in the data sheets. In these cases, a heat shunt may be applied. This is a clip, for example a pair of pliers or a large crocodile clip, applied between the component and the soldering iron. It stops the component heating up too much by shunting away excess heat. In any case, practice soldering quickly and precisely, as too much heat can also melt plastic components. Choose a soldering iron which has a bit size which suits the work or connections you're working on. Another useful tip is to keep a wet sponge nearby, and each time you use a soldering iron, clean the bit on the sponge. This will wipe off any excess flux and keep the bit clean and makes the joint easier to solder. A fresh solder joint looks shiny. Joints which look dry or dull are sometimes called dry joints, and the wires may not be connected correctly by the solder, and the electrical connection might also be poor.